Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today we're going to react to 2K's first NFL game. So we reacted to the first NFL Street and NBA Street. So why not react to the first 2K NFL game, and then we'll react to the first NBA 2K with Allen Iverson on the cover, the classic on the Dreamcast. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Recently, I made a retrospective on the first NBA 2K game. While the NBA 2K series is very popular and alive today, what many people don't know is that there was an NFL 2K series that came before the NBA 2K series. As longtime viewers of my channel or longtime sports gamers are aware of, the NFL 2K series was incredible and ended with ESPN NFL 2K5. What I and quite a few others consider to be the greatest NFL video game ever. After EA and the NFL signed an exclusive rights agreement, NFL 2K games were killed off. However, 2K dropped All Pro Football 2K8 in 2007, an incredible unlicensed game that has easily the greatest gameplay ever seen in a football video game. And yes, it plays much better than Madden 22 or any other Madden, despite being 14 years old. If you want to learn more about those two games and EA and the NFL creating what is essentially a monopoly, check out my retrospectives on 2K5 and 2K8.
You already did.
But how did it all start? NFL 2K, which dropped before NBA 2K, was the first 2K branded sports game. But it wasn't actually Sega's first NFL game. Before Take-Two bought Visual Concepts and 2K in 2005, Sega was the parent company behind the brand. You know, the company that makes Sonic and Super Monkey Ball, and of course, consoles like the Genesis and the underrated Dreamcast. What's important to note here is that NFL 2K was Sega's flagship sports title. It just so happened that NBA 2K was also a great game, and it eventually took over the popularity of NBA Live. But compared to even NBA 2K, NFL 2K was its own animal. It was special. So special, in fact, that it made all previous NFL games, including every previous version of Madden, look like trash. For its time, NFL 2K was the greatest NFL video game of all time, and over the next few years, the series only got better and better. It's interesting to wonder where NFL 2K would be today if the NFL allowed competition. Would it be plagued by microtransactions like modern NBA 2K games? Would it have killed off Madden like NBA 2K killed off Live? Would the legacy of ESPN NFL 2K5 still be so strong? I would assume that the competition of both Madden and 2K heading into the 2010s would have only been a good thing. But unfortunately, we will never know. In 1999, however, there was no sign of such a boring future.
The same thing would have happened to Madden that happened to NBA Live. Madden would be terrible. 2K would be on top right now. 2K would be on a whole different stratosphere right now if they were still making football games. Because listen, the NBA is a monster, but the NFL is a different beast. That's billions. That's not coming up on $1 million figures. That's $1 billion figures, bro, with the NFL. But it is what it is, though. The same situation happened with NBA Live would have happened with Madden 2 because EA can't make good games. Plain and simple.
Or only Madden could exist. But instead, there was hope. There was a fantastic NFL game that seemed like it came from the future. And it almost felt too good to be true. Maybe it was. When Sega launched their last console, the Dreamcast, in 1999, they needed sports games. As Sony's PlayStation was a smashing success and the console of choice for sports fans, as every major EA Sports release came out on the console, EA refused to bring their popular Madden franchise to the Dreamcast, so Sega decided to create their very own NFL game from scratch. Like I previously mentioned, Sega had made football games before, such as the classic Joe Montana football series. However, the first Joe Montana football game was actually developed by EA Sports and published by Sega. Trip Hawkins actually intentionally made the game worse than Madden, since that was his focus at the time. Kind of petty, but a smart business move. Asking your rival to help you develop a competing game might not be the best idea. The next few Joe Montana games were developed by Blue Sky Innovations, and it wasn't until 1995 that Sega developed their own football game, Primetime Football 96, with Deion Sanders on the cover. NFL 97 was the next game, although this time it was developed by Game Tech. The games received poor reviews thanks to a bad play editor, bad animations, a bad camera, and issues all around. NFL 98 was developed by yet another company, Spectacular Games, but it was overshadowed by a lawsuit. Joe Montana sued Sega for apparently breaching his licensing agreement. This was the last Sega-published NFL game until NFL 2K, and the last time the NFL Primetime naming was used until Konami released ESPN Primetime 2002. After bouncing between developers and receiving poor reviews, it made sense that Sega nearly threw in the towel by trying to get EA to port Madden to the Dreamcast. Sega's console business was not looking promising in terms of sales, so they knew they had to get some killer games on the Dreamcast in order for it to have a chance at being successful. So when EA said no, Sega decided to build a new NFL game from the ground up with a high budget. An inexperienced dev team took over, known as Visual Concepts, and at the time people were not expecting much. At E3 in 1999, Sega showed off some footage of NFL 2K, and it blew people away. While it was yet to be determined if gameplay would be any good, graphics looked incredible, as did the motion captured animations. And when the game finally released, it received incredibly high reviews and was labeled as the greatest and most impressive NFL video game ever created. Somehow, after years of stumbling, Sega did it, and with a brand new development team too. The legend of NFL 2K and 2K Sports in general was born. NFL 2K was not only the prettiest NFL game ever made, but also the most realistic and best playing NFL game ever made at the time. Unlike other early 3D football games, the player movement and controls felt similar to older 16-bit games, but in a good way. Gameplay felt polished, unlike the clunkier Madden titles from the PlayStation. But the control users had over their players was the best part of the gameplay. The ball trajectory was perfect, and if a receiver was past a defender, you could place the ball there over the defender. The game was insanely difficult, and you had to use real football concepts to win. In other football games, all that mattered was players' speed and movement, but in this game, everything was taken into account, including height, weight, and momentum. Instead of a juke button that would trigger an animation, the game let players manually juke the control stick, which again gave users full control over their players' movement. Sprinting was a repetitive button tap, meaning you had to be very active on the controller to break a big play. It also gave you more control over your exact speed. In other NFL games, sprint is just holding a button for a set speed. But with the button press mechanic, you could walk, jog, half sprint, sprint, or full-on sprint. The control you had was incredible. The motion captured animations and tackles were beautiful, such as when Randy Moss, the cover athlete, would dive for an overthrown catch, or when a powerback would truck through a linebacker. Maximum passing was introduced, where users could aim their throws with the control stick to place a back shoulder pass, have the receiver come back to the ball, and again, have full control over the gameplay. That's the theme here. The game also introduced the charge mechanic, where you could hold down a face button until it charged up, and then perform a more intense version of that mechanic. For example, you could charge up the truck button, and then have an insanely powerful truck move. Or you could sacrifice speed for a second to charge up the sprint button, only to then get a huge speed burst to help you get past the last defender who's about to dive at you from behind. All of these mechanics would later be improved upon in later releases and helped make ESPN NFL 2K5 such a beloved game. While Madden was a good NFL game at the time, and the best before NFL 2K dropped, it never truly felt like real football. You never had to worry about formations, or player positioning, or using players how they would be used in real life. It had a cookie-cutter experience where there wasn't much variation, and the game would become broken pretty fast when you figured out which plays worked against every defense. In NFL 2K, that changed. Every player actually felt different and had to be used in different ways. Elite pass rushers would actually terrorize you. Star running backs all felt different and had their own pros and cons. And the difference between an accurate quarterback or a gunslinging, less accurate but strong-armed quarterback was very noticeable. Madden still hasn't been able to figure out how to make elite players stand out, and has instead had to resort to a cheesy X-Factor mechanic to mimic that sort of realism, which results in an ironically unrealistic gameplay experience. This game from 1999 nails the fundamentals better than Madden 22. The game was so good that most complaints weren't actually complaints. The game simply played so realistically that you'd run into situations that you never would have experienced in other football games, and that could confuse some people. NFL 2K captured exactly what made special players special, and you'd often get completely destroyed by a great player in their own unique style. You can't put a linebacker on a receiver and expect to win that matchup. You can't simply pick up a receiver with high speed and bomb it to them every play. The AI would adapt to your play style, so if you had success running a specific play, the defense would recognize when you ran that play again and properly defend it the second time around. If you mix up your play calling enough, you can have successful end-arounds or trick plays. The more varied plays you run, the better you'll play, which is the complete opposite of what Madden has become, where pro players run only a few plays, sometimes just one, over an entire game. Today, people may go back to the older NFL 2K games and instantly call them trash, because people today have been programmed to expect Madden-style gameplay from an NFL game. You have to relearn how to play a football game when you play the NFL 2K games, but it pays off. You end up having more control, more organic play development, and more fun, because 2K actually played like real football. The game did not feature a franchise mode, but that would come in future releases. For the first ever football game from a new studio, focusing 100% on gameplay was the right call, as it built the best ever foundation for an NFL video game series. I sometimes wish EA would just start fresh and give us a bare-bones Madden game with new, built from the ground up gameplay, assuming that foundation is actually solid. NFL 2K did offer create a team, create a play, custom tournaments, and fantasy seasons, which are all not present in modern Madden games. So it wasn't exactly a bare bones experience despite lacking a franchise mode. When you go back and play this game, it really makes you wonder, what if? The developers of this game understood football and very obviously had a strong love and passion for the sport. This game was a system seller for the Dreamcast, which was unheard of for a sports game. As I previously mentioned, this game stood out graphically. On a CRT TV from 1999, it almost looks like real life. Of course, right now you're probably watching this video on your phone or an LCD monitor, so obviously when more pixels are displayed, the game won't look great anymore. But when played on a TV the game was designed to be played on, it still looks amazing. The first thing someone will notice when seeing footage of a game is the graphics, and Visual Concepts knew they had to go above and beyond to get people to want to buy this game and a Dreamcast. The quality of the visuals represents the quality of the entire game. Masterful. Between the real player models and faces for each player, to signature animations for specific players, to every stadium being meticulously detailed, to presentation that resembled an NFL broadcast. This game blew the competition away. It made Madden 2000 look like a complete joke, and honestly makes Madden 22 look like an even bigger joke. For 1999, this game was a mind-blowing gift from the football gods, and anyone who played it back then would agree. 2K football games continued, with each one becoming better than the last. While Madden always had its diehards who refused to play or enjoy the 2K games, those who did play them knew how much better they really were. Madden did become better and more competitive, but when ESPN NFL 2K5 released for only $20, and was better in many categories than Madden 2005, which was an amazing game in its own right, the NFL and EA signed a contract that would kill off NFL 2K games for a long, long time. With All Pro Football 2K8, however, you can see the potential this gameplay had. That game plays and looks so great, to the point where gameplay looks shockingly good to those who have never seen the game. Because it lacked the NFL license, it wasn't as popular and sold poorly, and was the last 2K football game. But it's a cult classic today. Just look at the pocket development, the ball trajectory, the animations, the attention to detail. It blows Madden away, yet most people have never heard of the game. Had 2K been allowed to continue making NFL games, it's pretty obvious that they would have probably killed off Madden or at least caused EA to try a whole lot harder.
What they should have did was they should have said, fuck it, we can't make NFL games, but we can make collegiate games. That's all they had to do was stay on the collegiate side until shit went left. And then when shit went left, you would have probably still... I'm pretty sure the NFL would have looked at them and been like, y'all doing good over there with that NBA shit, and then y'all still got that y'all doing good with that collegiate shit too. Hey, y'all trying to make an NFL game though? I guarantee you that would have happened, but they gave up on it. They gave up on it instead of sticking with it. All 2K had to do was make a collegiate game going forward.
Instead, Madden 06 on the Xbox 360 was a huge disappointment, and Madden games immediately started to decline with the exception of the PS2 era games. After EA moved completely over to the 7th generation of consoles, however, Madden games became more or less a roster update running on a broken foundation that only got worse as the years went on. There's a reason why, to this day, people still make such a big deal about 2K football games. It's not nostalgia, they were just better. At the time of this video, we are 4 months away, potentially, from the release of the first NFL licensed 2K game since NFL 2K5, assuming it isn't delayed again. As I've mentioned, EA and the NFL still have an exclusive rights agreement, but that agreement is only for simulation-style NFL games. So 2K has finally found it profitable to create an NFL game that doesn't exactly fall into that category, likely because of how fed up players are with the awful recent releases of Madden. While 2K's upcoming game cannot be a simulation-style game, we really don't know exactly what that means. It could just mean 11-on-11 football, so maybe it's a game with 10-on-10 football that almost feels like a realistic game. Maybe it's obviously an arcade-style title, such as an NFL 2K Playgrounds or something, with cartoony graphics and power-ups and whatnot. Perhaps it's a mobile game to rival Madden Mobile, but I'm sure people who got excited for 2K's announcement would be really unhappy about that. My suspicion is that 2K can sense that the NFL is becoming a bit unhappy with EA. Sure, Madden brings in a ton of money each year since it's the only NFL game people can buy. But the NFL would make more money if there was a game on the market that was actually good. NBA 2K, for example, appears to be a lot more popular than Madden when comparing Twitch streams and views, as well as 2K online communities compared to online Madden communities. And that's despite NBA 2K being a very flawed game. I would expect 2K to release an arcade-style game that nails football fundamentals. Player models may look cartoony, like the old Wii Madden games, but at its core, I expect 2K to have gameplay that shows glimpses of what a simulation NFL 2K title could offer today. In 2025, assuming the NFL doesn't opt into the last year of EA's contract, since they have the option not to, I'd expect 2K to offer a pitch to the NFL, showing how their arcade games engine could be used to create a simulation-style NFL game, and hopefully the NFL would open up their license so we could have Madden and 2K making simulation NFL games again. Competition is ideal in this situation, as we've seen EA completely stop trying with Madden because they simply don't have to. NFL 2K entering the mix would change that. With FIFA dropping their exclusive license with EA, it seems like we are finally about to enter a new era of sports gaming, where competition is back. At least, that's what I'm anticipating, but I've been let down before. As of right now, there is at least hope. While 2K is no longer the company it once was, I still trust them 100% more than EA to develop good football gameplay. Take-Two Interactive has a messy recent history with hyper-monetizing their games, but NBA 2K's gameplay is still miles ahead of NBA Live's. Worst case scenario, I could see a simulation-style NFL 2K game in 2026 that has a ton of microtransactions, but still blows Madden away in the gameplay department. Best case scenario, we get the greatest football game ever made. I'd like to take that game. Despite whatever happens in the future, the 1999 release of NFL 2K will forever be a sports gaming classic. The game set a new standard for football video games, and it seems like only 2K themselves were able to top that standard. While Madden games were great on the 6th generation of consoles, their gameplay still never came close to matching 2K's realism. And then when EA stripped future games to their core, We all got to witness some terrible NFL games. While some people may turn a blind eye to the past, or be completely unaware of it, and have standards so low that Madden 22 is a good game in their minds, anyone who grew up on the 2K football games knows what's possible in a truly great NFL video game. And it all started with the 1999 release of NFL 2K. Thanks for watching.
Alrighty. Yeah, man, that's just gonna about do it for this one, man. I remember when the Dreamcast came out and the first 2Ks came out. Revolutionary, bro. Very revolutionary. I loved the first NFL 2K. That was the only one I played, really, was the first one. After that, I kind of stuck with the NBA franchise, obviously, because they had Iverson on the cover. So obviously I want the Iverson. Obviously I want the game with Iverson on the cover. Then we transitioned over to the PlayStation 2. 2K2 was okay. 2K3, I hate 2K3 with a passion. 2K4, they came back. 2K5, okay. It was $20, obviously. Parents gonna get it for you because it's the cheaper game. But obviously, you want an NBA Live 2005 because you try to get that dunk contest. You try to get that dunk contest popping. But it is what it is, though. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, just going to about do it for this one. I'll see you all in the next video. Tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I'll get back to you. So then, peace out.